If you sign up for their program, you get a light-skinned, weird-faced wife that never do an interview.
Oh, man,
listen, in 20 years, won't do an interview.
I finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm going to marry.
You met Steve, he was already married. And you walk in late to his show, late. You walked in late for a reason, for the attention, huh? Not even knowing you, he said, I'm gonna marry you. Girl, who you done call? Oshun, Ugly Fred?
So listen, Steve Harvey really thought it was bold to throw some recycled, low-effort shade at Katt Williams again. And now, hold up, Katt Williams is firing back and dragging Steve's wife, Marjorie Harvey, all the way into it. And honestly, the way he's breaking it down, it's got people thinking. So, according to Katt Williams, Marjorie Harvey is the real one calling the shots. He's painting her like the puppet master, pulling strings behind the scenes and keeping Steve right where she wants him. And not just that, he's even saying she's coaching her daughter, Lori Harvey, on how to maintain that lifestyle through men. And the reason Steve keeps mentioning Katt Williams, according to Katt, it's because Marjorie told him to. Apparently, she's still holding on to some bitterness over Katt exposing that alleged contract Steve signed to secure himself a certain type of wife. And now Steve's out here throwing shots again, looking like he's being controlled with Marjorie pulling the strings like a ventriloquist dummy. Yeah, that's how it's being framed. So, let's really talk about it. Is Marjorie Harvey actually this mastermind manipulator moving everything behind the curtain, or is she just someone who played the long game and positioned herself perfectly?
If I had a chance to talk to Katt about anything, I would just ask him what's wrong. Just what's wrong.
Listen to this. It's been over 2 years since Katt Williams dropped that legendary Club Shay Shay interview, and somehow Steve Harvey is still talking about it. When that interview went viral, Steve even came out swinging, threatening Katt and saying he'd shoot his perm straight out of his head.
Don't get off the wall to dress some pity idiot boy who ain't got going for himself. Now you done stopped your climb up on the wall so you can come down here and talk to his little punk. Don't do that, man. I stay away from it. Now, do I want to? Yes. Because I'm a human being, and I'm human. I used to be a fighter, and I still got hands. They slow, but if you get up on it real slow, I can still knock your one. I just don't have the quickness out of it. But I still gonna turn my hip and wait, and I knock your shot out. I shoot your.
So yeah, listen, Katt Williams definitely hit a nerve with those comments. But here we are, 2 years later, and Steve Harvey is still holding on to that energy. During a recent sit-down on the Pivot podcast, Steve brought up Katt Williams again and claimed he's just bitter and jealous because he's not on his level.
Social media fodder was upset with you for the way you finally responded to him. Mm-hmm. They said they felt like what he said about you was true because of the nature of your reaction.
Oh, well, see, first of all, I ain't really good at social media, so I didn't even know that was out there. But they can, like, really kiss most of the corners of my head. Just because a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true. That just don't mean it's true, man. Because we not in the same league, dog. We shooting at two different baskets. I shouldn't even have said nothing. I think that's kind of like hate and jealousy. And hate and jealousy is a form of grief. You're grieving because obviously all them people you talking about have something you either want or are something that you ain't. And you're grieving. And the funeral becomes the podcast. So now let me...
But hold up. If Steve Harvey really thinks Katt Williams is just jealous of his success, then why did he get that triggered? He went as far as publicly threatening to knock Katt out over those comments. And listen, you don't go there unless something hit a nerve deep. That kind of reaction usually screams insecurity, let's be honest. Now here's where things take a turn, because Marjorie Harvey enters the picture. According to an insider close to the Harvey family, it was actually Marjorie pushing Steve to respond publicly and go at Katt like that. And allegedly, all of this ties back to what Katt Williams said about comedians having to sign up to make it big in the industry. That so-called program, according to Katt, even included ending up with a certain type of wife. He claimed if you sign up for it, you get placed into that whole setup.
You sign up for their program, you get a light-skinned, weird-faced wife that never do an interview. Listen, in 20 years won't do an interview. Nobody's ever talked to her, and that she's never been interviewed anywhere. And now, understand, I'm not talking about one person. What I just told you applies to 7 people. How they all end up with that. That's part of what you get. I came in this business saying I was going to expose.
And then, listen to this. Katt Williams also called out how Steve Harvey allegedly left his first wife behind when Marjorie Harvey came into the picture. But now he's flipping the narrative and acting like Marjorie was the one holding him down when he had nothing.
Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
These days, Marjorie Harvey is always showing off that luxury lifestyle online, moving around A-listers and rubbing shoulders with billionaires like it's nothing. But before she ever crossed paths with Steve Harvey, she wasn't anywhere near private jets or designer everything. She was living a completely different life. Then one day, everything shifted when she locked eyes with Steve at a Memphis comedy club. And Steve says right then and there, it felt like destiny hit him instantly.
Came late, came down front with my girlfriend. Our seats were right here at the front, right by the stage. So we were sitting here. The stage was here. So he's just quiet. He just keeps staring at me. So I'm waiting on him to make me a part of the show so we can get on with the show. So he stayed quiet so long, staring at me. Now everybody in the club is looking at me. And so he finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm gonna marry.
They clicked instantly, no question about it. But after just a few weeks together, Marjorie Harvey allegedly stepped back because Steve Harvey wasn't really on that financial level yet. Now fast forward to 2005 and they cross paths again, but this time Steve has a full-on hit sitcom under his belt. And suddenly Marjorie is open to giving things another shot. But here's where it gets messy. Steve was already married to his second wife, Mary Shackelford, at the time, and Mary later claimed that Steve was cheating on her with Marjorie the entire time before the divorce was even finalized.
I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie. That was disturbing.
And it gets even messier. According to Mary Shackelford, Steve Harvey allegedly took their son Winton Harvey with him and turned the situation completely upside down. She claims he influenced the child against her, manipulated the court narrative, and left her with nothing in the aftermath.
Took my Winton from me. He turned my son against me. Had me evicted from our house, thrown out. All the businesses, all the money, the cars. At a moment when I was down and devastated, he maneuvered everything. He maneuvered He manipulated the courts, everything against me.
But listen, people say Steve Harvey was never really the mastermind in all of this. They claim that was all Marjorie Harvey pulling the strings behind the scenes. They say she mapped the whole thing out and influenced Steve into fully cutting off his own ex-wife completely. On top of that, it's been reported that Marjorie Harvey allegedly pushed Steve to paint Mary Shackelford in a negative light in the media, and Steve went along with it. He started coming at Mary hard, calling her bitter and toxic, even claiming she was harming their son. And through it all, Katt Williams supposedly saw this whole pattern coming from a mile away.
What that's hurtful in here is my wife and children have to be drugged into this. If you're gonna be vindictive, then go ahead and just aim it at me. But my son is coming in the room crying, and that's also her son.
So why you would do?
But no matter how much Steve and Marjorie tried to control the narrative, the public still wasn't convinced. Marjorie quickly got labeled as one of the most disliked wives in Hollywood. But hold up, that isn't even the most controversial chapter in Marjorie's past. Before she ever became Mrs. Harvey, things were already complicated. She had already walked down the aisle 2 separate times. Her first husband was a man named Jim Townsend, allegedly tied to the drug underworld. And according to Street Talk, Marjorie wasn't just a stay-at-home wife playing the role. She was reportedly deeply involved in his illegal operations. Sources claim the FBI and DEA had her on their radar. They allegedly pressured Jim to cooperate, warning that Marjorie could also face charges due to supposed evidence against her. Jim eventually agreed to cooperate, but still ended up indicted for attempting to purchase 40 kilos of cocaine. He received a life sentence, served 26 years, and was later pardoned by Obama in 2017. As for Marjorie, she walked away without any charges. No charges were ever filed against her. She reportedly filed for divorce less than 5 years into Jim's sentence and moved on. Now here's where things get even messier. Right after leaving Jim, Marjorie allegedly began dating his cousin Darnell Woods, who was also reportedly involved in drug dealing. By the way, Darnell Woods is the biological father of Marjorie Harvey. Marjorie later married Donnell sometime in the early 2000s. And if the timeline feels confusing, it should, because Steve and Marjorie claim they first met in the late 90s, briefly dated, then reconnected in 2005, which suggests both may have still been involved with other partners at the time. Then once Marjorie reconnected with Steve and realized his career was about to blow up, she reportedly left Darnell without hesitation. And Darnell's story didn't end there. Allegedly, he ended up facing a similar fate to Marjorie's first husband. He was arrested, charged, and reportedly only recently got released from prison. So Steve and Marjorie eventually married in June 2007, with Steve adopting her 3 children, Morgan, Jason, and Lori. Meanwhile, Steve also had 4 biological children from previous relationships. Fast forward to today, and the couple often appears as relationship experts on TV, proudly showcasing their blended family.
But insiders claim the reality behind closed doors is far more fractured than what they present. One source reportedly told Radar Online there is tension at home, claiming Marjorie is focused on pushing Lori into the spotlight and securing her a high-profile partner, while allegedly paying less attention to her other children. The same source added that Marjorie essentially runs the household with full authority. And listen, word is she's the one actually coaching Lori on how to navigate the dating game. On top of that, we're hearing Michael B. Jordan never fully trusted Marjorie from the start, because no matter what he did for Lori, it was never enough for her mom. Rumors are also swirling that MBJ was ready to propose but asked Lori to sign a prenup, which is pretty standard when you're dealing with millions. Hold up, but Marjorie shut it down immediately. She supposedly doesn't believe in prenups at all. How convenient, especially for someone accused of building her whole life on other people's money. So Marjorie allegedly convinced Lori to dump Michael and move on to the next rich target. Katt didn't just clap back, he straight up checked her. Marjorie isn't some classy self-made queen, she's a calculated operator who built her whole life off positioning, timing, and men. And when Katt put that mirror up, it wasn't just shade, it was exposure. He stripped the illusion, called out the manipulation, and made it clear that Steve isn't leading anything, he's being led. So, after all that, the kingpins, the FBI, the abandoned ex-wives, the manipulated court cases, and Marjorie walking away without consequences every single time, do y'all really think Steve is calling any shots in that house, or is he just Marjorie's puppet? And how do you feel about Katt's theory that these comedians have to sign a contract that comes with a light-skinned wife? Drop your takes in the comments and don't miss this next video.